Hello everyone, it's Simon here with a review of Newt One. Newt One is currently out on PC, but I will be releasing out from early access on this Friday to join its Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 releases on the same day. Thank you very much to the developer for sending across a copy for a review. I already had my eye on this one though, because it's a musical platformer in the 3D world. It reminds me very much of the late PS1, early N64 games where everything's really blocky, colourful, loud and in your face. But there was the other section of this game that I was really interested in, and that's how the music was incorporated into the game itself. You play across 4 different worlds, each one has 6 levels in it, and the idea is that each level starts off completely devoid of life, so it's got no colour and no sound. As you walk through the land, each path section that you'll hit, every flower, every tree, you need to touch it essentially to colorise it, and then that will bring up the meter that's on the top left hand side from 0 to 100%. The higher up the percentage chain it gets, the more layers of music start to appear in the level itself, until you hit like a round of applause for getting 100% if you can find everything, and then you'll have a full track playing. That in principle sounds like a really good idea, and I really like the fact that this is a game mechanic that's been implemented. I also really applaud Newt One for being completely non-violent as well, because we need games that aren't going to be I want to shoot everyone in the head, and this marries up cute graphics, simple to learn mechanics, and a non-violent element that makes it a really nice introduction game for younger gamers, but also for people that just want to chill out. However, there are some complaints that I do have with the game itself, but bearing in mind that it didn't necessarily affect my enjoyment of the game massively. The game itself is super easy, but is made difficult quite often because of the very floaty controls that the game has. Newt, as the character itself, is very floaty. There is also a fair bit of delay and input lag around where you're moving your controls. However, it also has this weird element of basically where if you just press and hold down jump, it will constantly jump whenever you're hitting stuff. And that doesn't matter too much early on in the game, but as you play through the game itself, quite often you're colorising owls that will then fly out and provide stepping stones for you to leap between island to island. They're very difficult to get really precise jumps on because of how floaty Newt is, but also because I'm busy pressing and holding jump, because quite often you're having to glide to things. It will then auto jump you back off again, and quite often I'd fall off the world and not necessarily die but need respawning, because there is no dying in the game and there's no real penalty for falling off. It just puts you back to where you were before, but it just amped up a bit of frustration in the game that I felt didn't need to be there if the controls were a little bit more precise. The second kind of complaint that I have is around the theming of the game. I said that you've got 4 worlds, but in actuality it's just recolourings of the same thing itself. So the forest area is green, the island is orange, the glacier world is white, and you find the same game mechanics where you're colouring stuff kind of just repeat over and over in the same space but just with different colours. That also extends to the power-ups that you unlock as well. It's great that you've got a gliding effect, but nothing really changes in the way how you use it. When you have the drum that bursts out colour from around you, that also then can freeze water, but it can also cool down lava. And the same thing kind of applies in each level's environment that you go around. It doesn't necessarily change up too much what you're doing, with the exception of lava somehow becoming bouncy at some point. The other thing that I just wanted to bring up as well is that for a game that prides itself on being a musical 3D platformer, the actual music that's playing along is not actually very memorable or catchy. It's MIDI based, and we all know that MIDI based soundtracks don't need to be poor. They can actually be some of the best music that is out there ever. Basically, look at any game up until about 2000 for their soundtrack to see that. Almost all of the music in Newt One is entirely unforgettable, and whilst I really did appreciate the fact that it built up lots of layers of music as you went along and it did feel like the level itself was coming to life, I didn't get that musical payoff that I was hoping for. And maybe that's just the rhythm action gamer in me was wanting for something that just couldn't be done because it's a interactive score, I guess. But yeah, I was just slightly disappointed that that didn't really happen for me. Add that together with the fact that essentially all you're doing is going around and making sure you touch everything before you move on. It does make up Newt One for being a really light and airy experience, and one that you kind of enjoy vaguely whilst you're playing, but you don't necessarily feel like you want to go back to massively in the future. However, what I will say is that the concept here actually is really, really strong. I feel like if there is ever going to be a Newt 2, with tighter controls and a little bit more variety in the gameplay and theming, with a more memorable soundtrack, that actually this could be a real tour de force game that's coming out in the future. However, as experimental and rough around the edges that Newt One is, I do think that there's an audience out there for it. And I'd be interested to see some other people that I know of I think will pick this up and probably enjoy themselves with it. It's just not going to be something that will change your life. So, any questions on the PS4, Nintendo Switch or PC releases coming up, please just drop them in the comments below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching. Happy gaming. Bye.
This channel is just one of my many projects that cover games, music and film. If you enjoy any of these and would consider supporting me to develop further in the future, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Satorimon. Thank you for your time and for watching the video.